Hello and welcome to a series of videos where I talk about various cultural references in Genshin Impact. It just so happens that most of the characters, including our today's guest, can be packed with references from a culture that their region is based off of, and Miko is no exception. So I'm gonna go over her clothing, the names of her constellations, of her talents, and what all of it references. Fair disclaimer is that I had to research information for this video. If somebody with better qualifications makes a video or a post about Miko, you should always take their word above mine. But first of all, please do take a moment to appreciate how insanely pretty she is. Oh my god, have you seen her? That's like top tier character design. I can't. Let's just get into it. First of all, her name, Miko, is actually a term used for shrine maidens in Shinto culture. Mikos in modern culture are basically shrine assistants. So they assist with shrine activities, they do ceremonial dances, they offer fortune telling, and they support the shrine's chief priests. But traditionally, they were involved a lot in mediumship. So they would get possessed and they would act as mediums for the divine. Additionally, she is called often a guji. And guji is a term that means the chief of a Shinto shrine. And last but not least, she is a kitsune. Kitsunes are believed to be intelligent and magical fox spirits who can shapeshift into different forms. Often they choose to appear as foxes. They're known for their cunning nature and supernatural powers, and I guess that kind of does fit her character. Visually, she draws a lot of inspiration from the actual clothing of actual mikos, of actual shrine maidens. So if we put her against a maiden in the Genshin shrine, you can see that the maiden is wearing the traditional clothing. She's wearing a white top, which is a kosode, a predecessor of kimono, and call it hakama, or trouser skirt. Yae has a very stylized version of this outfit, but you can still see the resemblance. On her head, she has a very elaborate headpiece, and I'm convinced that it is a reference to something because a similar shape can be seen on her earrings, on her necklace, and at the bottom of her dress. I couldn't find yet what it means, but I swear to God, I will get to the bottom of it. When she is playing her idol animation, you can see that she's carrying a staff called a gohei, and that's a wooden wand adorned with two shide. And shide are zigzagging paper streamers. It's a ceremonial item used in Shinto rituals, and it's often used by the priests and mikos for blessing or sanctifying of individuals or objects. It can also be used to cleanse sacred spaces and to purify, bless, or ward off evil spirits. On her back, it's most likely a reference to an obibo, and actually several Inazuma characters have it, and none of the characters from other cultures have it, which does lead me to believe that it's most likely an obi. Ayaka has something similar, and Kirara has something similar. You could say, with a stretch, that Nilo has something similar, but if you compare Yae's bow and Nilo's bow, Yae's bow is much bigger, and it stands, and Nilo's bow goes down. Yae's bow features a Torii gate motif, and the Torii gate is a traditional Japanese gate commonly found at the entrances of Shinto shrines, and it represents the transition between the physical and spiritual realms. The knots on the sides of her obi seem similar to omikuji, and omikuji are strips of paper that contain fortunes or predictions that are commonly offered at Shinto shrines. And it's traditional that if the prediction is bad, one must fold it up and attach it to a pine tree nearby for the bad fortune to go away. The sleeves of her clothes are very similar, in my opinion, to something called chihaya. That's another component of the Miko attire. They are considered like ceremonial clothing. It's basically a type of garment with very wide sleeves. Mikos wear it on top of their normal clothes. And when she's moving and you're looking at her from the side, there is a symbol on her back, and that is a magatama. A magatama is a comma-shaped bead made of stone, glass, or other materials, and in Japanese culture it holds spiritual and ceremonial significance. So it often symbolizes protection, divine power, and good fortune. And now let's move on to her talents, because those actually have a lot of references in their names. Her first talent is Spirit Fox, Scene Eater. In Chinese and Japanese versions, it uses the term shiki, derived from shikigami. And shikigami are supernatural familiars, but they need to be conjured. They need to be summoned, and then they depend on the life force of the person who conjured them. And you can see little foxes flying out of Gohei when you use her normal attack, so I'm assuming that those are Shikigami. Her next talent, Yakuno Vocation Seisho Sakura. The term Yakun is basically a synonym for Yako. Yako are the lowest ranking fox spirits in Japanese folklore, or it also refers to spirit position of foxes, known as Yakutsuki. And Shigendo is a highly syncretic religion. It blends local folk practices, Shinto mountain worship, Buddhism. The goal of it is to attain supernatural power through religious training. And next talent, Great Secret Art Tenko Genshin. Secret art refers to the practice of mantras in Vajrayana Buddhism. In Japanese, it's known as mikyo. In Japan, divine foxes are considered messengers of the Shinto deity Inari. Tenko, meaning sky fox or heavenly fox, represents the highest ranking divine foxes in Japanese folklore. Kenshin, meaning revelation or manifestation, signifies the fox's divine presence. Talents, the shrine's sacred shade. In Chinese, it means the sacred shade in favor of Himorogi. And Himorogi are sacred places or altars used for worship in Shinto. They provide a divine fence, kind of like symbolizing a sacred enclosure. Next talent is called Enlightened Blessing, or in Chinese it's called Norito of Jingze, Keichutsu no Norito in Japanese. Figuratively, it translates to Liturgy of Thunderstorms, and Norito refers to liturgical verses and prayers in Shinto. Keichutsu is associated with the awakening of insects or a period of spring thunderstorms. And her last talent is Meditations of a Yako, or Wild Fox's teaching of Zen. And the wording may reference the Zen Buddhism idiom Yakuzen. It means a pretentious monk or like a know-it-all person. May also allude to the legend of the Kitsune Hakuzosu. That one transformed into a Zen monk to teach Buddhism, but was discovered. The names of her constellations are actually quite interesting as well. First, Yakon Offering. As we know, Yako, wild, lowest ranking fox spirits in the folklore. Fox's moon call, fox howling at full moon, one translated from Chinese. The Japanese word used here is konkai. It means to roar and hiccup, and it's actually used here to represent the sound of a fox's cry, like konkon. I can't pronounce the term for this, but it's on the screen. Her next constellation, the Seven Glamours, Step of Seven Transformations. First of all, there is a common folklore belief, 7 transformations for Kitsune, 8 transformations for Tanuki. It can also mean there is no limit to excellence, or even the best person meets their match. In theatrical performances, Nanabake refers to a kabuki dance, where the dancer changes clothes 7 times. I couldn't find anything specific for the next constellation, so I'm just gonna skip it. And the constellation after that, Mischievous Seizing, in Chinese, it's called Face That Exposes Evil and Laughs to Scorn. The Japanese name, Bokaku Shisomen, is likely a reference to Bokaku Daishomen, meaning face that exposes evil and laughs out loud. It is one of the faces of an 11-faced Avalokitesvara, so sorry if I mispronounced that, which is a manifestation of the Bodhisattva. This face exposes the evil deeds of mortals and laughs off their absurdity. And the last constellation, Forbidden Art Daisesho. Chinese is called Jugon of Mass Slaughter. Daisesho means mass slaughter or massacre. Jugon, translated as Forbidden Art, refers to an ancient Taoist magic in Japan, and it was considered a forbidden art due to its sorcery, and it was abolished in the 9th century. So, no more sorcery. And that wraps it up, basically. One thing that I forgot is that when she ults, you can see her tails, and she has 5 or 6. I can never capture that. It is believed that the more tails a fox has, the more wise and mature she is. And I think the limit is 9 tails. She doesn't have 9 tails yet, either because she is not yet matured, or because it's very difficult to fit 9 tails into a game. And that is it. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you have learned something useful today, and I hope that I could provide some new information, something that you didn't know yet. Please let me know what you think. Please let me know if there is another character that you're most interested in. Otherwise, I'm just following the banner. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.